Welcome to Homebrew a la carte. Our special today is Bio Creeps. I'm your host, Sean, aka Scrobbins, or Arbitrary and Delicious. Thank you for joining me for another episode of this podcast. And thank you once again to MT for this stunning episode artwork and the musical stylings of Raftronaut. I'm so happy with the warm reception my first episode received so far. Please join my Discord to join the community and participate in discussions such as episode comments, state of homebrew topics, collecting stories, and more. Since launching that Discord, it became a nice place for mentorship where Seb, developer of the Book of Rin, received great advice from others about launching his own Kickstarter. I hope that it can be a great place for further mentorship for other homebrewers. Since my last episode, I've been to Midwest Gaming Classic in Milwaukee, which is always a fantastic experience. I'll spare you the minute-to-minute storytelling, but I love doing a bit of food tourism when I'm traveling, especially when there are friends to join me. I returned to Foundation Bar with its yummy tiki drinks, some of which come in collectible glasses. And I was eager to visit Safe House, a spy-themed speakeasy restaurant, while visiting a friend in Portland, Maine last year, we were hanging out at Arcadia, an arcade bar, and while talking to him, I mentioned that I would be going back to Milwaukee. A woman passed by, overheard us, and she came over and said that I had to go to Safe House, and she gave me the password. I couldn't wait to use it. It's funny because later in the weekend, other friends at MGC eventually went to Safe House and they called us to get the password after hearing that we had gone. I was especially happy to walk over to Momo Me on my first day there, and they had some gluten-free options. I've gone there every year and they are so friendly and the food is incredibly delicious. This year, by being there before the convention started, I was able to help assemble copies of the VIG cart Hold the Light. This was the first year I had a table space for myself in the homebrew room by virtue of this podcast, as well as my blog, and that felt really special. Usually I'm just there as a fan and supporting others, and it kind of felt like something different, like I was actually a part of the belonging of the presentation of being there. And the weekend was filled with wandering the center, exploring the vendor hall, catching up with old friends, meeting new people. One recent highlight for me is the Mortal Kombat Warrior Fitness class led by John Parrish and Leah Montalongo. They're better known as Jax and Sindel. This is the second year they've offered the class, and I was thrilled to do it again with them. It's an exhilarating and different experience that mixes up the video game convention itinerary, and it's a lot of fun. Lots of gaming news to cover. If you're a homebrew collector, your cup runneth over and your wallet is probably crying. First, we have Stellarator, the newest game from Austin McKinley for the NES. It's a colorful adventure that comes with a beautiful graphic novel. If you've read Riot Force, you have an idea what to expect as far as the artwork. Next is Packet for the NES by Joe Sherman. This is a cute Pac-Man-like game, but with elements Joe describes as being like Luigi's Mansion. In this case, it's because the ghosts have extremely varied personalities and only spawn as you get near them. I had a blast playing this at MGC while chatting with Joe. It's a creative departure from its inspiration. Of course, BioCreeps launched, but we'll talk about that later. Then there's Jet Rider Mini Hero for the Game Boy by John Doe Soft. This is a jetpack performer. It was supposed to be a limited release, but its popularity quickly changed those plans, and so they made more copies available on their Kickstarter. Also for the Game Boy is Fortune and Glory by Matthew Lofhagen, better known as Video Game Storytime. This is a dungeon crawling platformer that performed very well in last year's GB Compo and is now getting a full release. Keep an eye on that one. Maybe you'll hear more about it soon. Wink, wink. With a rare bit of N64 homebrew, we saw the Kickstarter for arcade platformer Donut Dodo by Pixel Games Sarl S. I think that's how you pronounce it. Many people, including me, were excited to see this ported to a retro console. Back to the Game Boy, we have Skateland Adventures. This is a skateboarding platformer by Cayman Games, which I believe is associated with Pat Morita games of Hermano fame. And finally, for the NES, we have Calcu, The Call from Above by Eber, which describes itself as a first-person platformer and is very, very surreal. And finally, something fun that I encountered at MGC were the Hook and Patch books by Jeff Dietering, brother of Christian, aka Ferris Bueller. Jeff connected with an Etsy seller in Italy called Now in Time, and she converts books to the Game Boy. And she put his 5-book series onto Game Boy cartridges, so you can read them on your Game Boy like a Kindle. You can look up Jeff and order his books on his website. The flip side of the news is something came up in the State of Homebrew channel of my Discord, and that was the topic of shovelware. And it recently was raised in the Homebrew Game Club Discord chat that 2 bits of news touched on this subject. First is the failure of the Alison of Astra Kickstarter campaign, and second was the posting of several videos by French YouTuber Rhino Chalk Dev. Now, to preface this discussion, I want to say that as a general matter, I like to be positive and supportive within this community. I only ever cover games in my blog and will only cover games in this podcast to support them because I want to promote homebrewers and share their work. That said, I don't believe that everyone's games are equally good, or for that matter, worthy of being marketed and supported on the level of more lovingly crafted products. And for the sake of having these State of Homebrew conversations, difficult points need to be raised. So, to the subject at hand. Does every homebrew game that someone makes deserve to have a Kickstarter? No. The market at this point is saturated, and each additional game that is added into it without careful thought will detract from those around it. Alison of Astra offered a multi-cart of what I felt were unpolished sprites and an even more unpolished Kickstarter page, which is interesting given how much they go out of their way to criticize other developers, calling their work sloppy. They complain that they feel like garbage, seeing other people do well, seeming to care more about what they see about their game or page compared to others, and not just focused on what could be better about their own work. Their response to genuine feedback is to lash out at them, based on the response that I've seen within the Nestmaker Discord. And for me, the cardinal sin was their claim, which was never taken down, even after they were proven wrong in the NesDev Discord, that they were the first NES homebrew multicart on Kickstarter. Any homebrewer in the community that paid attention to what else was out there would have known about Morphcat's Triple Jump, and a little research would have revealed Teppel's 240p test suite. These aren't random campaigns. These were projects by titans of NES homebrew. And not knowing those Kickstarters existed speaks volumes about how much someone is looking to promote themselves without stopping to see if they actually deserve the hype or support others in the community around them. And their campaigns cost less and delivered much, much more polished work. It's disappointing. I want to be supportive to homebrewers, but it's not my responsibility to spend my hard-earned money to boost your feelings when you're pumping out mediocrity and getting snippy about it. Rhino Chalk Dev, on the other hand, is much more sinister. He's bragging about how he paid somebody else on Fiverr to make a game with a level or two and then put that game on Kickstarter expecting lots of money from it. Fortunately, most of his previous Kickstarters have failed miserably. But his first homebrew cart game, Nightfall, for the Game Boy, netted about a few €1,000. According to his videos, which have been translated by Dale Coop, he plans on using Homebrew Factory for some future projects, such as Escape from Blackwood Camp. Such opportunistic shovelware is awful and goes against the passion project nature of the community. Collaborating with each other to fill in gaps in your own skill is great, but paying some anonymous person to make a game on the cheap that you can toss out to the market and demand quick, easy money is infuriating. Especially because this guy is posting videos telling people how easy it is to do, and he's nakedly bragging his plan is to take advantage of publishers to cash in. And it's worrying because once it begins, more people like that are not far behind. The truth is, most people looking to lazily cash in are going to grind out junk, and people will see through that and not buy it. And because these non-devs are lazy, they'll eventually stop having other people or AI make games for them and move on. But we need to know who these people are so they don't mix in with the hardworking folks who really are trying and deserve encouragement. Okay, rant over. Back to more positive programming. For another chapter in my own homebrew personal stories, I want to share the first gaming expo I attended, which happened to be the Portland Retro Gaming Expo back in 2018. This story actually begins several months earlier. I was enthralled with homebrew and was trying to collect whatever games I could find, including out-of-print ones that others said were the most fun to play. For example, Cowlitz Gamers for Kids' Second Adventure. I read that some copies might be available through Chelsea, one of the organizers of the Cowlitz Gamers for Kids Expo. So I emailed her. She said yes, and I immediately purchased a copy. However, she refunded me a moment later, saying that she needed to hold on to her copies to sell at PRGE later that year. I thought to myself, darn, if I can think of something else to justify flying out to that part of the country, I'll give myself permission to go. And that set something off in the back of my head. Some memory that I had already made that deal with myself. I set about looking through my myriad bookmarks on my computer to find the other thing I really wanted to do in that part of the country that would make me feel comfortable going out there, justifying the trip. And then I found it. A short drive from Portland is one of the only places in the entire continental US where you can do scenic, off a bridge, into a valley, bungee jumping. Fantastic. Now I can buy my tickets. I emailed Chelsea that I'd be going to the expo, and I was excited to meet her in person, and hopefully I could pick up a copy of Cowlitz. In the meantime, I wanted to research other games that I might want to look for. Since Chelsea was associated with John Hancock, and he was a part of the Metal Jesus crew, I figured I would go through their videos of hidden gems for the consoles that I owned to see if there were any games I'd like to pick up. And that's when I came across one of their videos with the title, Scam Alert, Sean Robinson. Uh-oh. Apparently, someone with my same first and last name was a big part of the Coleco Chameleon scandal. I was just starting to get involved in this scene, and now I'm worried people think I'm him. I tried not to let it get to me. I arrived in Portland several days early and let myself have a wonderful vacation exploring the city. The morning of the first day of the expo, I was still a little nervous that I would miss out on getting a copy of Cowlitz. How early should I get there? Will there be a rush for their table? While I was eating breakfast in the hotel, Chelsea emailed me. She was looking forward to seeing me and said that she had set a copy of the game aside for me, so I wouldn't have to worry about missing out. Wow, that was so kind. And I needed it too. I had a hard time finding the right entrance to the convention hall, and then the line waiting for the door to open was so long. But when the door opened, it moved quickly, and I beelined it to Chelsea's table. John Hancock was there too. I introduced myself, and there were smiles, hugs all around. I told Chelsea how I was nervous after the video that I saw, and that's when she told me. When I originally emailed her and tried to buy the game, she thought I was that Sean and refunded me because she didn't want to sell the game to me. But then, after we emailed a little more, she realized I was someone else. She felt bad and wanted to make it up to me by saving this copy for me to buy. John leaned in and kidded, "Yeah, we hate that guy. Don't worry. We'll make sure everyone knows you're the good Sean Robinson." They were so much fun to talk to. I kept circling back to hang out every so often. And sometimes, while I was elsewhere in the convention hall, John would pass by and say, "I see you're talking to good Sean." So if you ever see in the credits or references in manuals to homebrew games, the good Sean Robinson, that's where that comes from. It was a fantastic trip. I also met Bo from Soul Goose Productions, buying a copy of Spookatron, and I met Paul from Infinite NES Lives. And I was first on the list to sign up to order Mojonian Tales from him. Toward the end of the trip, I rented a car and went bungee jumping in the most scenic area, having one of the most exhilarating experiences of my life. I'm so glad I went. It was a great trip. Speaking of great, let's get into today's featured game. Smooth transition. BioCreeps began life as Xenocreeps, an entry for the 2019 NES Maker Bite-Off competition. Nate teased his work as early as February 20th, 2019, sharing the Xenocreeps title on March 6th. By March 10th, he had released the first demo of the game for players to enjoy as his official submission to the compo. But he wasn't done yet. He posted on October 4th, 2020, how he had picked the project up again, and over the following years would regularly post his progress, including work on a second player character, as well as boss animations. Over that time, he simply called the game Creeps, but began to refer to it as BioCreeps as early as March 30th, 2023. He brought in beta testers to play with successive builds starting June 7th, 2025, and this already gorgeous game got better and better. The Kickstarter officially launched on April 24th, 2026, in time for Midwest Gaming Classic, and it easily met its initial $6,502 goal, a 6502 collective signature. Among the backer tiers are the game's ROM, CIB, and a special edition VHS-inspired box. Additional goodies for special tiers include your name in the credits, sticker sheet, patch, t-shirt, trucker cap, and custom NES controller. Now as it gets ready for release, it's a good time to learn some of the stories behind its development and meet its talented developer, Nate. All right, well, welcome, Nate. Great to have you on.
Yeah.
Um, so excited to talk about BioCreeps. But before I get started with your game, let's talk about you a bit. I mean, who are you? Why are you Super Nintendo?
Oh, who am I? Well, I am a young man from Fargo, North Dakota, and yeah, I like retro games, and I like making retro games, and Super Nintendo is just a fun little pun to go on my name,
Nice.
so people can know that who I am. I don't know.
How did you find the homebrew community?
Um, I started with kind of lurking on the Nest Dev forums. There was a few that like I forget how they landed on my radar, but there was the there was like the Cowlitz gamers, like at the second
Yeah.
adventure, and there was Nim and Nom, and then of course Super Bat Puncher,
Mm.
and of course Super Bat Puncher just blew me away because it's the best thing ever. And then I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I'll never be able to do that." Um, but then Nestmaker came along, and I was able to dabble in there, and and from there I started making. I wanted to make my like ultimate game that was gonna make me rich and famous. Right? It was gonna be this Metroidvania thing, and then I realized that making games is really hard, and that's way too big of a first project to have. So so we there was this bite off competition, and I made Xeno Creeps for that little single screen platformer. That's kind of my intro into everything, anyway.
Hmm. And so it started off as Xeno Creeps, and I think we talked before about how that was inspired by the xenomorph from Alien.
Yes, yeah. I was I was I was I was I came up with the gameplay concept first of like, well, you'll have a shotgun and you'll only shoot down, right? And when you shoot up, you'll bounce off the walls and stuff. But I was like, I don't have a good theme. But then I was sitting at this bar and grill, and I saw one of these like Ed Roth inspired drawings, and I was like, oh, it'd be cool if we combined that with the xenomorphs and put that together. And so that yeah, that's where Xenocreeps came in, the kind of the Ed Roth illustration style with one of my favorite movie monsters ever,
Mhm.
right?
And so what inspired the change to Bio Creeps?
Um, I think what it was that I wanted I wanted to do more monsters, and I didn't think I wanted to do more monsters, and I wanted to do more stages. And when I got linked up with Łukasz, I wanted to expand, and I felt like the alien angle wasn't all that I wanted to do. I wanted to do zombies, I wanted to do bugs, and other creatures, robots, and so I thought bio creeps kind of encompassed that a little more, maybe.
And so I remember seeing Xenocreeps in that bite off, and there being a lot of reaction to the incredibly elaborate, like flipping somersaulting animation. Like, how many frames is that? Like, how? Because I don't think I'd ever seen anything like that in Homebrew before. So, how much? I guess how much effort, energy, like what went into the design process for something that was like incredibly like well articulated, and I guess like what was your response to seeing like that kind of reaction to the the reception of Xenocreeps in its original offering for the bite off?
Sure. No, I was really happy with it, and I did get a lot of messages from people being like, "Oh, this was my favorite in the bite off," and like they're like, "Oh, you should have won everything," and I was like, that made me feel good, of course. And it's funny you mentioned the somersault animation, because that was one where I was like, well, I need this to be more than, I know this is going to take up a bunch of graphic space. But I was like, this has to be a 4 frame animation to have it feel like really good. Because I didn't just want a sprite rotate. I wanted it to feel like a real somersault, and feel like he's all balled up. And so I'm glad you noticed that, because there was a lot of thought into that particular animation, just because you're going to be, I knew you were going to be seeing it for the majority of your playtime. So
Nice. And how would you, I guess, characterize your sense of working on the game between when you were working on it for this brief period for the bite off versus the more open ended development you've been working on for the full release?
well, what's the difference now?
Yeah, in terms of like how you approach, like what your like how you what do you feel about your process? Do you feel like different issues are coming up when it's a narrow time frame versus when you have all the time in the world?
Well, I think with Xenocreeps, because it was just me at the time, right? And me contending with the Nest Maker engine, is that I kind of knew my limitations. And so, and at the time I worked enough with the engine to know kind of where I could push it and where I couldn't. And so I limited myself significantly to be like I'm going to focus on making this very simple concept be as good as possible. Whereas when Łukasz came on, right, and took over programming, then it was kind of like it was me taking the designer role and being like, okay, how can we expand this in such a way where it still retains like the same energy that I had before, without without making it just this huge untenable thing. And I don't think we accomplished that initial goal, because we both did a lot of scope creep, uh, a ton of scope creep, just so many different things like, it was bad for a bit there. There's a lot of things that are now going to be in this final thing that was never in my original design document at all. So, but it's gonna be cool
Could be a
once.
fridge,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The mini fridge,
mini fridge,
the
right?
mini fridge attachment peripheral. That's gonna be pretty awesome.
Awesome. um, so I mean, the vibe of it. I mean, like there's inspiration from the xenomorph from Alien. You
Yep.
have other creatures and zombies and monsters, so there's a horror element to it. But at the same time, it's silly because you have your protagonist. They got this like super macho cowboy
Yeah.
vibe, and there's cigars, and the bosses just have these big like rictus grins and like silliness. So like,
Yeah.
how would you describe the aesthetic that you're going for, and like what are you pulling from as far as inspiration to put it all together and say that this is what you want people to feel?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it comes from just what I personally think is like fun to do, right? I think I knew that I wanted to do like horror monsters, right? And I
Hmm.
knew I wanted to do this, and I like horror movies, but I think what I really like more than just horror movies in general is I like monsters. I love monsters, right? And I love weird creatures. I think that's why I'm a big like Ninja Turtles fan, for example, like because
Mm.
there's all these mutants and gross things and sewer sludge and all that. That's cool to me. So it's fun to make. It's fun to like with monsters. It's fun to like not feel constrained to like this is what a protagonist needs to look like I can just or an antagonist even like I can just be like if I want to add big drool coming everywhere and like tons of teeth and spikes wherever the hell I want, right? Like I can do that and it's fun to do, it's fun to draw, and it makes doing the art a lot more enjoyable for me. I think my favorite part has been making the bosses and the enemies for the game, like because they're just so yeah they are so silly and they're also so goofy and gross and yeah.
I think the second boss is probably my favorite with the was that the moped and
Yeah, the he's like twice the size of that little motorcycle.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
All right, before I get into my next question, I have to ask her. I'm not gonna feel satisfied. I'm just gonna have it nagging at me.
Sure.
So you said Ninja Turtles. Who's your favorite?
Oh, Mikey for sure.
Okay. Because I
You
always
sounded disappointed.
no, I mean, everyone has their reasons. I feel like everybody likes Mikey, and that makes sense because he's the party dude. But I've
Well,
always been a Leonardo guy, and I always get so much flack for it.
well, poor Leo, especially in the '80s cartoons. All he gets is all the straight man like things to say. He's always
Yeah,
just like, "Let's go, turtles! Turtles fight with honor."
yeah,
It's just
it's
like
just the like leadership lines, and he has like no other personality. But in the video
I
game, I
think
felt like he was the best character.
yes, I like Leo most rounded.
But yeah, you're totally right about like the show.
I think the voice actor for Leo and the voice actor for Mikey both tried out for Mikey.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so there may be an alternate universe where that voice actor is actually Michelangelo.
Have you ever listened to? I stopped a few years ago. I need to pick it up again. Rob Paulson's podcast about about voice actors.
No, I hadn't heard it.
It's I forget the name of it, but he brings on all these other voice actors, and I mean he was um which one was he? I want to say he was either Donatello or Raphael for the original '80s one. But then he came
Yep.
back and played another one for one of the revivals, and he's like, "All right, every couple of decades, I'm just going to play a different one until I get all four."
Yeah, no, that's the voice actor for Raphael. He played
Yeah,
Raphael in the '80s cartoon.
yeah, there
He
we
played
go.
Donatello in the 2012, I believe.
Yeah, and it's awesome just to hear him like bond with all these other voice actors,
Yeah,
which is so much fun. Um, okay, so that makes me feel like all right.
yeah.
But I also just love the voices for what is it, Rocksteady and Bebop. I just love trying to
Oh,
impersonate
dude.
some of them. Like one of my friends, he could do a really good Bebop with the like, oh yeah, the titles, and then
Oh,
I'll do
Toidles.
the Rocksteady with the like, yo.
Mama. Yeah.
um,
There was a long stint where me and my roommate we would just talk like Krang to each other all the time. We
oh man.
we were being just annoying. We just like, oh, you didn't do that. You
You
didn't do
need
the
to find the
dishes.
episode where he has the Krang voice actor on, actually, because he talks through how he figures the voice out, and it's like
Oh yeah.
he finds places to inhale while he's talking, and he's like, I like to have a good mix of spices with some cilantro.
I'll have to find that because
Yeah.
more than Mikey, I mean, this probably shouldn't come as a surprise, but Krang is by far my favorite character
I'm
of
trying
the
to look this up for you right
trilogy.
now too. Oh, I'm gonna find this too. Hawk and Tunes with Rob Paulson.
Okay, I'll
He
find it.
hasn't kept it up. He stopped a number of years ago, so it's not like it's like an infinite number of ongoing stuff. But he kept it going for like a long time.
No, I'll find that because that sounds awesome.
Oh yeah, it was so much fun. I would just like listen to it in the gym, and it was the stories were insane. And it was sad because like he'd be announcing like the expos he was going to, and I'm like, oh, this is like 5, 7 years later. I'm not going to any of these. I don't know where he is. um, okay, I'm trying to find my next question. So,
Yeah, sorry.
yeah, um, okay, so the original Bite Off game made with Nestmaker.
Yep.
What tools were you and Lukash using for this final product?
So he redid the engine in ASM6, um, which I guess is not as popular with us US guys. Um, but he learned that I think specifically to do like Dizzy the egg like ROM hacks and things like that. He's a big
Yeah.
Dizzy fan, and so he uses that and he actually worked with the original team who did the Dizzy games to do some more NES ports. I think he did like 2 or 3 of those to get re-released.
Oh,
Um,
interesting. I don't think I knew
yeah,
that.
yeah. I wish I would have known about it sooner, but I think he did one in like 2014 and 2016.
Wow. Okay.
Work with them. So he's probably the biggest Dizzy fan I've ever met in my life. He loves that egg dude. Yeah, no. So he loves Dizzy, and so that's why what he uses. He did. Let me just tell you this. Lukash is a genius. He's like the smartest dude. Like what he ended up doing for me, like we were going to use tile ed or tiled or however people want to pronounce it, to build the levels. But one day he's like, I really want to learn the Godot engine. So can I take like a month and just build you build a level editor in Godot? And I was like, sure, Lukash, go ahead. Like, and he did it. And he did it, and it works great. It does exactly what we need, and it's really cool.
Pretty sure you're
Like
not even close to the first person that's told me something like that about him.
he's so smart, incredibly smart. Yeah, and he like and there'll be things where I'll just like, I was like, man, I wish I could like modify the tiles a little bit in the editor, and then like the next day he's like, hey, I added this feature, and I was like, I did not ask for that, Lukash.
It's like the great version of like, okay, but like I really need pencils down. Just like stop learning so we can release this already. It's
Yeah,
this is what the
yeah,
pro this is where the scope creeps come in. Just like stop get making it better.
yeah. Stop making my life easier. Yeah, so that's what it is. It's ASM6. Um, and then the levels are made in our own proprietary level editor made in Godot, uh, of all things. And then all the
Great, you
music,
weren't waiting for Godot. That's a
and then
thinker for you for the intellectuals out there listening.
and then and then all the music was done by my dad in Family Studio.
Really?
Yeah.
He's a musician?
Yeah, so my dad is mostly in the 90s and early 2000s. He was like kind of did was like a gospel music like musician guy, like just locally famous. Like he'd just go to coffee houses and do stuff like that. And he was in a couple of these like Christian bands and things like that. But it was like one Thanksgiving I was talking to him about the game, right? And he's like, "Well, how could I help?" And I was like, "I don't know, Dad. Like, if you want to learn how to make Nest music, then maybe you could do that." And he's like, "Okay, what do I need?" And then he downloaded Family Studio and started making all the started making all the music. And
Huh.
it's pretty good.
So apparently, if you want to learn how to use a program, people just need to hang around you and work with you because they just immediately learn programs and make
Yes.
fantastic things.
Yeah, yeah. Well, just uttering what you want to learn in front of my presence imbues you with the drive and determination to do it. And that's just something that's innate in me, and you know, you're welcome
Yeah.
for
I mean,
those
you do have a
things.
nice beard, so you're kind of like a wizard character where you're like, I'm setting you on a quest to go learn this program.
No, I am not I'm not a wizard. Not at all. That would be Langell or somebody.
Um, so, um, so I had no idea about your dad and the music. Are there any other team members that I don't know about?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, that was just kind of a serendipitous thing. Like it just really worked out, and my dad was I don't know, he's just always been incredibly like supportive of like the things I do, and he's just a super chill guy, and yeah, and
Wow.
gosh, man, especially that first stage music, I think it's so to me it's so iconic, and like I remember posting it in one Discord, and someone was like, "Whoa, is your dad Tim Fallon?" And I was like, I had to send that over to him. Like, look at this, Dad. You're getting compared to one of the greats.
Wow. That's awesome. So, what other aspects of the game are you particularly proud of?
Um, beyond just the art, because I am incredibly proud of the art, and I am very proud of like just the gameplay hook. I think it's really unique. I don't think, as far as I know, I haven't come across a lot like it, and so I'm pretty proud of that. Um, I don't know. I think I'm just proud that we're making something that feels really like professional. Feels like maybe it could have come out during the era, right? I feel like we've polished it pretty well.
Absolutely. I think it's definitely. I think you've had the benefit um, of your beta testing uh, pool of people from the Discord.
Yeah.
Um, what is some of the most valuable feedback that you've gotten from that group of people, what's also some of the most unexpected feedback you've gotten from that group of people?
I think the biggest thing was when I watched our beta testers interact with the game, and you get to after you beat that first zone and you get to the shop. I watched this and I agonized about this for a long time about how I just watched people just flounder around in the shop and not know what to purchase, and I remember just like getting so much freaking like anxiety, like
Mm.
just being like, this is like the mechanic that I set up is not working. It's like, and I had to like just like sit down and like look at myself and be like, you cannot force this to happen anymore. You have to change this. And like, because I had this system, right, where like all the special moves were done by these playing cards, which were used kind of as like ammo. So like your special moves were, you had to like make sure you had enough cards, and you need to make sure you have enough cards in your deck, right? And it was just all this stuff. And eventually I was just like, we have to undo this, and we have to just make it so like you have your slots for your grenades, you have a slot for one of these moves and one of these moves. And after I opened that up, then I noticed people actually experimenting with the shop instead of just like purchasing extra lives and being like, this is all I need. And so
Got
I
it.
think there's still some tweaking that needs to be done, but like, yeah, I think that was the biggest thing from the beta testing that like really changed what was going on with the game. Um, I think I think it's fun to watch. I feel like the gameplay itself is it's kind of interesting how like kind of polarizing it can be, where like some people just get it immediately and they're just like, yes, this is awesome, and then other people are like really struggling with like how to control themselves, and like,
Hmm.
so we'll kind of see how that goes. I've definitely done some stuff since to alleviate that. I know that I slowed down the game quite a bit to make it so it was a little bit more friendly, like, because I think I was getting into that Battletoads situation where like I was so good at my game
Yeah. Right.
and no one else was like, so
How do you
we'll
strike
see.
that balance as far as that balance as far as making it so it has some challenge and you are incorporating some feedback, but you're not making it so that it's basically just like a kid's game and people are able to like breeze through it or something. Like how do you figure out how much to incorporate and how much to set aside?
Yeah, so I kind of had this thought while I was testing myself, um, and testing out my levels and the enemies. I was like, there needs to be this. I think where a lot of fun can come in games is there needs to be kind of this tension where you aren't sure quite if you can do what you need to do, but if you do execute it right, then it feels really good. And that's kind of what I've been trying to do, is like to make it so there's just a little bit of tension there, where it's just like, if you're good, you can make this happen, but you have to, you have to execute on it. And I think that was kind of my goal, is to keep that tension where it's like, I want it to feel like you're in control of what's going on, but you still have to like put in an effort to make it happen. Is is the thought anyway.
Makes sense. And as far as your own coding and creation process, your development, like where what is a point of difficulty that you've had to overcome and how did you overcome it?
Well, I mean, beyond that issue with the refactoring the whole special items system, because that was stressful. Let me think. I don't know. It's kind of interesting is that like for a lot of building the game, I feel like I've been able to make pretty confident moves with like my design decisions that so far I feel like have paid off. Um, I think I think it's kind of interesting because this is like my first like real deal all the way through to end product game. I think what a lot of people don't realize is that when you start with an idea, um, they don't realize how much of that idea needs to be like chopped up into pieces and like scrutinized
Mm.
after once you start like executing. So like for example, the like designing an enemy where I was like on paper I'm like this enemy is going to jump up, right? And it's going to do this, right? When you it's going to jump up and then it's going to fly down, right? But then you don't realize like when you're playing like, oh, that actually poses no threat to the player whatsoever. So when you put that down on paper, you didn't attempt that. There wasn't any testing done, there wasn't anything ready for it, and like you have to pivot. Um Sorry, that was kind of vague, but
No, I think that makes sense. Um, I also love asking people about the design choices that go into the protagonists. So, who are these characters to you? Is this like
hmm.
action movie Nate? Is there somebody else that you're channeling for this?
Yeah, so Rod, the main like the player one guy, um he's kind of meant to be the Arnold slash Stallone type character, right?
Mhm.
White guy with a cigar with a denim vest and jeans, and I'd say probably mostly Arnold inspired. I'm thinking specifically of his character in Commando, right?
Yeah.
Where he like the intro is him like walking, carrying an entire tree, essentially. Like
Right.
that's kind of the same guy, just stupid, like unrealistically macho, right? And the other character is meant to be more. Actually, you know what it is. You know that meme with Carl Weathers and
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger? Like it's
The
essentially that.
Predator. Yeah.
It's essentially that,
Okay.
right? Except I guess I didn't have Carl Weathers in mind for Todd. I had more of this like Southern Louisiana like Gator wrestling type guy.
I could still be Carl
I'd
say
say it could
we
like
don't know too much about his character from Predator, so that could still be true.
it's still, yes, it still could be Carl Weathers, yes. But I'd say they're both supposed to be like wild and unruly, just like, yeah, just ultra macho and yeah.
When you get a, I guess the best way to say is that when you get a game over in the game, you get picked up by another character in a truck who references a guy in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I mean, are you thinking of someone in particular? Because I just think of Jordan.
I was I was not thinking of Jordan. Um, no, I thought it was meant to be a joke for the first MGC, right? For people to
Mhm.
like, you know, because MGC obviously is in Milwaukee, so like I wanted people to like think that's funny, like haha, like I'm in Milwaukee, hee hee, you know. But but then like the more I thought about it, I was like, I'm just not going to change that. I think it's just
Right.
going to be. I think it's kind of funny to like just be like, yeah, this guy knew some creepy dude in Milwaukee.
Right, just no context.
Yeah, no, not Jordan. Jordan's nice. He's not.
Well, of course he's nice. It's just like, what does any of it mean? Like, what it? Does it mean also George's just one of those people who's just like he's done a million things. There's like so much mystery to him, despite the fact that you know a million things about all this
Yeah.
different stuff. It's like it could be him.
Oh, you know what? You did ask if there's someone else who collaborated. Jordan did do something for the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he recorded a whole punk song for me, like a whole 30-second punk song for
No
me.
kidding.
That's played in the credits in super fun NES quality. You know, and so he did do something. I should have, yeah, I should mention him because
Okay.
he made a really killer like punk rock song
Awesome.
for the game.
Nice. Okay. How do you feel about a lot of the hype that's been coming up around this game? I mean, between the beta testers that are excited to play what exists and the people that see the updates that you post, how does it feel that there's people that are excited to have this out and to pop it into their consoles?
It scares the hell out of me, man. I really, I'm excited because I think I, I'm sure I feel like people are gonna like it, but also I just really don't want to disappoint everyone. I don't want people to. I don't like. I feel like the more hype there is, the more like I'm just so much more worried about if there's gonna be like a letdown where people are gonna be like, oh, I thought this looked really cool, but it's not as fun as I thought, or something. That
No.
that scares the hell out of me.
Oh, I get it though. It's like there's stakes because like there's expectations.
Yeah, and I think maybe that might just be my personality too, of just like I want I want this to be some. My biggest goal is for this to be something that like someone will pop in and like play with their friends and like just have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And like most people who have like popped it in with their buddy and like played it, they're universally everyone's just like this is a blast. Like I love playing this, which feels good. And then, so I just want that to happen for people. I want people because that's kind of my main goal is to like have it just kind of be like a centerpiece where you can connect with someone else and play a fun goofy game.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. All right, as for the the worst question that I could possibly ask you, because you're still
Okay.
in the middle of making this game,
Yeah.
like, do you have other games on the horizon? Do you still plan on making that Metroidvania? Given that there's like some kind of like bubble bobble vibes that are going on with BioCreeps, is there going to be a BioCreeps 2 with like other mechanics that
Oh,
like that? Because of course Lukash has been like developing his skills without telling you. Like, what
right,
is
right. Yeah.
on the horizon? Or
Man,
is your
I
attitude
shouldn't
like, shut up, Sean, like, let me finish the one I'm working on?
I shouldn't say I do have ideas of how I could expand BioCreeps into a sequel, and I have a pretty awesome idea of how it could go.
Hmm.
Um, I think I think it would be really fun to make a. This is just my initial thoughts have been, but I think it would be fun to make a roguelite of BioCreeps similar to how a game like if you've ever played like Flint Hook or Scourge Bringer,
I
right? Where
don't know
like
those.
the Flint Hook is a game by Tribute Games, and it's still single screen. So like the character goes into a room, defeats the enemies in the room, right? Collects stuff, and then there's branches. So you can go up, left, down, or or however the ship that he's on is laid out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it might be a shop in the next room, or it might be a room full of traps, or things like that. And I was like, I think that would actually work pretty well with Creep's mechanics of like
Okay.
going from room to room. Um, that's a thought. The other thought would be making it like a Gargoyles quest situation, but I don't know. Right?
Would you be playing as one of the creeps in that case? Like, are you switching it around?
Oh no,
Like,
no, no,
you've been
I don't
captured, you're
know.
breaking out. Now you gotta just gotta like attack a bunch of rods and tods
That that would be wild. That would be kind of fun though.
on your moped.
No,
You have a
no,
Battletoads like surfing level that's like on the moped.
no. I mean, we'll see. There's all sorts of ideas I could have. I think right now I want to I want to finish my game, and I'm working with Bo on his stuff, and I think I might be helping some other people out. I think for a little bit I'm gonna try to help other people get their games across the finish line and get those out and promote
Hmm.
those because I think I think still my greatest asset is the pixel art side. I think my art is looks pretty dang good. Not to like toot my own horn, but I think it looks pretty good.
Oh, absolutely. That was one of my favorite ones to play with getting on the shot glasses that I've been making as those gifts. I think when the packages arrived at my door, sometimes they'll put a sample on,
Oh sure.
and for the bio creep, that's the one that they put on the box, like on the side, to be like, "Yep, this is what's coming to your door." And I was like,
Nice.
"Awesome!"
Oh,
It made me think that that was their favorite.
it should be. Yeah.
What other homebrews have you been following lately that have excited you?
Well, obviously, I think I'm the most excited right now for Nathan's Halcyon. Um,
Hmm.
I'm excited to see that like continue to happen because it's just such a gorgeous looking game. Um, that's been really exciting. That new analog game looks pretty cool too. Um, I haven't gotten a chance to like sit down and like play, because I believe he open sourced that demo, right?
Yeah,
Um,
so it's on his GitHub, and you can, I don't know if compile is the right word, but you can assemble it from
yeah,
his GitHub. Yeah.
yeah. So I definitely want to take a look at that and because that looks pretty cool. So I think those would be the two that I'm excited for now. Oh, and I don't know when this is going to happen, but Rally, that looks pretty freaking sweet too.
Oh, I'm so excited about that one. Interviewed Chris like a year or so ago for Rally. And the only reason I haven't published it is because it's like, well, one, I haven't played it, so I haven't been able to write a review. Not that that stops
Yeah,
me, I can certainly publish without doing that. But it's like I want to put stuff out when I feel like I can also help like promote it. And since it's not done, I'm
right.
like, well, let's wait till it's out because it's gonna be like, wait, this thing's I don't even
Yeah,
like I don't want you advertising it when it's like years away from being done. So I'm just like, all right, well, I got your story, so
right.
I'm waiting for you to be ready to go. And so I'm just like I'm so excited. And so whenever he makes a post, I'm like, how's this coming along? Because every single thing you do looks beautiful.
Oh, it's a gorgeous looking game, and it checks my boxes of like I'm just always looking for ways to play homebrews with people, and that one obviously that one's going to be multiplayer, and I'm really excited to be able to like race around with my family or friends and That's gonna be cool. I mean, that's why, like, for example, Data Man, that game
Oh yeah,
just that one kind of just came out of nowhere, and uh, man, that one's so much fun to play with people, and yeah, so
it's kind of
that's
funny because it's like you're drawn to rally, and Nathan, because Nathan's the other guy who usually would contribute to the NesDev compo, and he was the one that usually did multiplayer games.
yeah. Well, he loves he made that quad tare,
Right. Yeah.
I keep telling him he needs to make a multiplayer Yar's Revenge. That's what needs to happen.
Well, I can have whisper in his other ear while you're doing that. We can add some more peer pressure.
Yeah, just be like, hey, you know how much you love the Atari, Nathan? Well, where's my multiplayer Yar's Revenge, man? Let's play some.
Do you? I forget. Do you? So it's like speaking of like Yara's Revenge and whatnot. Do you homebrew for other? Do you play homebrew for other consoles?
I do. You know, I think there was a nice boom of Genesis ones for a bit there, and I think it's still happening, right? Just tons of Genesis homebrew. I haven't purchased quite as many. The last one I did was ZPF, which was
Hmm.
gorgeous. I love the art style on that one. Um,
Have you seen? I think I posted this in the Homebrew Game Club Discord. That there's a new one for the Genesis called Popcorn Duel, made by the guy
oh
who.
yeah, I just
Yeah.
saw that, and
Um,
he has his own peripherals for it and
yeah, like
everything.
the controller for it. And what's interesting is because he made that controller, is it made me think of how people were asking the developer of Trial of Carzoid to make basically
Oh,
that exact thing. So, I mean, I don't know if the hardware tinkering wizards could take something like that and reprogram it for the NES, but I
I
feel
was
like
I was thinking a similar thing because um, Carzoid was probably my favorite homebrew of this, or I guess last year. Was it released last year?
uh yeah, I guess last year I think we're like
It's been a
so
blur.
new into because uh context, we're talking in end of March 2026. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think that shipped in late 2025.
Well, anyway, it was my favorite of this winter. Anyway, like it just so clever, so interesting, and I couldn't put it down. It's just I don't know. He put so much heart into that, and I'm excited for whatever. There's another one I'm excited. I know he's making another game. Don't know what it's going to be, but I'm sure it's going to be sick. So I'm pumped for that as
I'll
well.
have to follow closely. I mean, it's the stuff that I kind of love between that and what you've talked about for stuff for future ideas is this notion of incorporating some of these mechanics and sensibilities that exist for like modern generation games and applying them back into the
Yeah.
homebrew games because now either the know-how or the interest is in there to put them into these games, and
Right.
it's kind of what helps to distinguish the scene. And I mean, you can certainly, there's nothing wrong with making like real throwback games that are just kind of homages to some of the
Right.
older licensed era stuff, but the notion of also trying to push the limits in terms of gameplay as well as technical limitations like I don't know, graphics or sound or
Right.
anything. It's like it's just funny. Not funny. It's interesting to see that there's so many different dimensions that you can push out on.
No, and yeah, I agree completely. And that's what, excites me about NES Homebrew too, is because there is this kind of anachronistic feel, right? When you put in like a cartridge that was made like 2025, 2026, right? But it's doing things that like nothing else in the '80s and '90s library it ever even attempted to do.
Right.
But at the same time, it's still so in line with how things were. To me, I feel like how things were back then, where there wasn't as many like established gameplay norms, and so it's fun to like see people tinker and experiment, when you're not trying to reach like this huge broad indie audience. You're just doing it for the love of the game, essentially.
Yeah. I think that's what's kind of it. You're rewarded for just doing what it is that you want to do
Yeah,
because you're not. It's not realistic to try and do some kind of broad mainstream thing. And I mean, like that can still happen, but not many folks have broken into that, and folks that are trying to are sort of like being met with, what are you doing?
yeah.
So yeah. Um, well, awesome. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna do one last shout out just to Lukash again, because I just think he's he really is just like the unsung hero of like this whole project. He's kicked butt on like everything for this project, and he like I said, he's a genius. He's really patient. He's really easy to work with, and he's made. I think helped make one of like the funnest things, one of the funnest projects that I've ever worked on in my life. So I'm very thankful to him, and I just wanted to shout him out again because he's just so awesome. So that would be the last thing I want to say.
Absolutely, that's a great way to go out. Like Lukash, you are loved because
Yes, yes.
I have never heard a bad word said about you. Please come to some of the expos over here in the U.S. so that you can get dogpiled on with people that are in love with your games.
It's oh man, well, here's the thing. He would I mean, he's so humble. He never would like whenever
Yeah,
I
that would
tell him
scare him
like,
off, I've heard.
yeah, I told him like, you're like the best programmer ever. He's like, no, that's Teppels, man. That's not me. I'm not that good. Just like I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, this guy. Love him.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for being on and look forward
Yeah.
to seeing BioCreeps get released as well as anything else that you put out. And I'm going to be listening closely and being like, that's Nate's dad doing the music.
Yeah. No. uh no, this was really fun. I hope you keep doing this. This is cool. I think we need more homebrew podcast content.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I mean, I'm excited. Oh, I should have said this too. I'm excited for Dizzy Sheep. Frick.
I mean, I haven't turned Craig off, so I can maybe try and.
Because I'm super excited. I'm super excited for Dizzy Sheep. That's like my
Oh yeah, I
well, you
remember
saw it.
you like grind is not the word. You like just like really like went into that game
I
last
was
year.
sitting there for like 2 hours.
I I feel like Sarah is such an unsung workhorse. She just like quietly is just
Yeah,
like
grinding.
yeah.
She's so cool. I'm pumped. I'm pumped to see Dizzy Sheep. I know she changed the last level specifically because of me.
So now you have to replay it because it's
I
different.
know.
You got to play all the way to the end level and
I'm
do
going
it.
to. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna get down there. I'm gonna get down there and I'm gonna be like, Sarah, it's time. And then I'll spend the next 2 hours destroying her game and be like, I've done it. I felt so bad for that couple. They never got to see me defeat the game. I felt so bad. I felt like I
Well,
owed them.
they have something to come back to this year. Be like, hey, we're ready to watch you finish it then.
Dude, that would be the best thing that could ever happen to me. If I'm like sitting down and that couple comes by again and they watch me win, that'd be the most rocky moment of my life. And then it'd be like, Adrian, yeah!
I
And,
did
you know,
it!
I did it!
Confetti come from the ceiling, and Ray will come out with a giant wrestling belt.
Yeah, and I'm just sweaty.
Yeah. But then, like, Thunder Lips will come out and just, like, body slam you.
Right. Right. And I'll be like, whoa. Didn't know charity was so painful.
Oh, man.
Okay.
It's gonna be a blast. I'm excited for it. So, in a hilariously embarrassing oversight, I learned that I interviewed Łukasz about BioCreeps 2 years ago. He wasn't able to record with me for this podcast when I learned about that more recently. However, Nate brought in a friend to read in for Łukasz, so his answers can be a part of this episode. The voice you hear is PandaMonium Reviews, who makes excellent videos about North American releases of Sega Saturn games. I'm currently knee-deep in his documentary about Virtua Cop. Now, enjoy this reading of my interview with Łukasz from June 2024. Hi, Łukasz. Before we dive into BioCreeps, I would love to talk about you and your background. What first inspired you to become a video game developer and artist? What's your origin story?
I'm a self-learner, starting by hacking ROMs to do simple things like adding invincibility and whatnot. It later evolved with a great goal in mind: make a brand new Dizzy game.
Who are your influences, and whose work are you watching closely now?
My influences as a coder are works of Oliver Twins, especially in the early days. Design-wise, the games I draw inspiration from are Dizzy the Egg, Kirby, and pretty much anything that comes to my mind.
How would you describe your aesthetic? And what to you are the hallmarks of a game designed by you?
Polish as well as Polish. I really like to give my stuff extra layers of both.
In your opinion, what makes good pixel art stand out?
To me, the best pixel art is one that has a cartoon feeling to it. Think of Grunio Zercha or Dizzy series.
What tools do you use to create?
Aside from FamiTracker for my music, my tools are self-made.
You're a prominent part of the Homebrew community, from the Grunio Zercha series to the Cowlitz Gamers Adventure games, among others, which include your own projects as well as collaborations on others' games. Does your process differ when working on someone else's game versus your own?
Not by much. I've been lucky enough to have worked with open-minded individuals and have enough ability to provide feedback to them.
How did you connect with Nate to collaborate on the game? What was the working dynamic like in your collaboration with him?
The MT had us connected. Nate was working on adding stuff to the NES Maker version of BioCreeps, but was having problems. Meanwhile, I was looking for an artist for a very special project. MT mentioned him to me, but I didn't think I would be able to afford his expert art skills. In the end, we were able to get a relationship going and have BioCreeps in the workshop.
What aspects of BioCreeps are you especially proud of?
I think it has to be the use of IRQ DMC interrupt to create effects that normally wouldn't be possible with the mapper we have chosen. We have a name band showing on the start of every level with simultaneous render of status bar. This gets even more extreme later on boss stages where there are multiple screen splits implemented.
What new challenges or surprises surfaced in developing BioCreeps? What lessons did you learn that you would like to share with the people who aspire to follow in your footsteps?
The biggest challenge that kept popping up over and over was scope creep. We just kept adding features as we went. Free character selection, special tiles for each zone, player moves, and others. We are even about to add the ability to save your game, something we did not plan from the start.
Are there any other projects you have lined up on the horizon? Any dream projects?
Once we finish the creeps, as we call it, we plan to make a small challenge and create a Dizzy game clone for NROM using only 40 kilobytes of ROM. As for a dream project, that would be a large-scale Dizzy clone for either advanced mapper like the Rainbow or straight for PC.
Are there any other new NES games in development that you're excited to play?
Right now, I'm looking for next MT endeavor, as well as Mojon Twins and their massive library. Still hoping they make another Espatine game.
I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me and share your experiences. Is there anything else you would like to tell readers and fans?
Apologies for taking so long on BioCreeps. We are doing our best to balance the game and bring you the best experience. Many thanks to Nate for being an excellent friend. Aww.
I want to thank Nate and Łukasz / PandaMonium once again for being my guests and sharing their stories about themselves and BioCreeps. While at MGC, we were playing the bite-off build of the original Xenocreeps demo, and Joe Granato told us this interesting story about how years ago he was with some gaming execs late one night. He was showing off many of the Nestmaker games that existed at that point, but the game that they really wanted to play over and over was Xenocreeps, which goes to show that Nate was onto something back then, and Joe's tool helped bring it into the world, even if the final game is built from the ground up. Keep the conversations going by joining my Discord and show off your style with swag from my Etsy store. I'm excited to bring you more stories from homebrewers across a range of consoles. I hope you continue to enjoy them, as well as MT's playful art and Rafternaut's banger music. In the meantime, in between time, I'm Sean, and I'll see you with another brew.